Once you've terminated your aerobic fitness test, you should immediately move on to the passive and active recovery process. That applies to all the fitness tests regardless to make sure your client has a proper cool down. So the first step would be your active recovery, which is taking the heart rate every minute for the first 3 minutes while your client is still being active. However, that activity intensity should be below what the workloads were of the working load of the test. So if I had just terminated, for example, the step test, I would maybe just have my client slowly walk around the room or outside, wherever the case may be, but walk at a lower intensity because we do want that heart rate to decrease, and take the heart rate down every minute for 3 minutes. If the client wishes it, or if you feel the heart rate's still quite high, you can add another additional 2 minutes of active recovery to make sure they really walk around and keep the blood pumping a little bit to try and move some of those metabolites that have accumulated in the working muscle tissues so they don't just sit in that tissue after the exercise. Once you've finished the active recovery, it's time to move on to passive. You'll want to have set up your station for your resting heart rate and your blood pressure, which you saw in the other videos, all ready to go. Your client would sit down and you'll take the blood pressure after the first minute of sitting down, as well as the heart rate, then the heart rate in the second minute, and then the blood pressure again with the heart rate after the third minute of sitting down. So it is quite busy. What I typically recommend is you set them up right away, leave the blood pressure cuff on, and have somebody ready to write down that data for you, or have your log sheets nearby, because you're going to be moving around quite a bit trying to get all that information in at a time. Don't get stressed out about it, but the main important thing is that your client feels okay. You give them the proper recovery, and once again, if they need more time before moving on to other fitness assessments, make sure you give them that time. You might want to offer putting them through some stretches as well. If you notice they complained or they mentioned that there's a lot of their calves are really tight from the step test, etc. Maybe lead them through some stretches so that they feel a bit looser moving on to the musculoskeletal tests afterwards.